How's it going, citizen? And that's my Hurricane Helms impression. What's up with that? That was good, actually. I didn't really think I would hit the high pitch, but I ended up doing it. Anywho, this is Louis Curse coming at you once again with another action figure review. And today's figure in question is the WWE Elite Series 75, the Hurricane, also known as Hurricane Helms, also known as Shane Helms, also known as Gregory Helms, and also known by his real name, Shane Gregory Helms. But obviously, the Hurricane is possibly the character that he's most remembered for, much more so than his WCW persona, like Sugar Shane of 3 Count, that boy band, that wrestling boy band. And of course, his later role as just the uber serious wrestler, Gregory Helms, that was Cruiserweight champion for a long time. Getting to that, wasn't a big fan of the Gregory Helms character because it lacked character. Meanwhile, the Hurricane, as you could see, vibrant colored, really pops out. I just saw this figure, and yeah, this was one of the figures I had to get just due to the fact that it's a very notable character. It's a very colorful character, and I am a big fan of colorful characters, from Doink the Clown to Abe Knuckleball Schwartz to even right now, Otis, of Heavy Machinery. And before we get started with opening this figure, let's just go through the packaging. As you could see, Hurricane's right there on this side of the box. In the back, there's a little description of him. Stand back, there's a hurricane coming through. And it notes the European Championship, Cruiserweight Championship, World Tag Team Championship with that I believe he held with Rosie. That's him diving off the top ropes, and this is standard Elite packaging. You guys don't need to hear my qualms with Elite packaging. I've already gone through it various times in the past. The packaging is gonna change. So what's the point? What's the point with what's the point with trying to keep them in the package? I mean, select figures I will try to keep in the package, but this is definitely a guy that I feel I might open up, and that's about it. I am simply gonna discard the box, as nice as it is. I know there's a Chase variation to this figure. I obviously got the more common version of the figure with the black boots and the earlier attire of his career. I do believe that the later Chase version dealt with a later version of his career when he had white boots and he had a more of a complicated design on his wrestling top. Yeah. Not much else to say. That's the figure. I'm kind of shocked. He comes with a set of hands, and obviously a cloth cape is notable right there. But it's I don't know. It's a far cry from before. I feel maybe one more accessory would have been in order for him. A title belt, possibly a European title. Maybe a cruiserweight title, something. Just have something that would have helped with the figure. But background, a very good background. But yeah. Anywho, I am gonna open this figure up, and we shall look at him much more in depth. So I really wanted to start the video off by having the figure posed already, but I did need to make an account of this. So his cape is literally taped to the packaging itself, and while I do appreciate that from a collector standpoint, in case you're never gonna remove them, I feel that might cause problems down the line if you weren't aware of that, as you could see right here. Oh man, look at that. See. Yeah, I don't know. Are you serious? You could see a slight fading here, so yeah, that was a really bad move by Mattel. I do not know why they thought it was a good idea. Man. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to tape the cape to the actual packaging. You could see like a little bit. So yeah, that's a really big negative. I'm not gonna lie, that's a really big negative on the figure. And obviously, no one's gonna notice. No one's gonna. The cape is actually pretty great. Just the material itself, the decal on it, it's painted well, and it's near the bottom, so it's definitely camouflaged. But I don't know. It's a big fail by Mattel. They should not do this. They should not tape up. They should not tape up. Clothing to the packaging, because down the line it's gonna cause damage, and and it obviously did with my figure already. As you could see, it's like you could see some of the green dye is stuck on the tape now, and yeah, that's very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate, and that is a big negative on Mattel's part. But anywho, let's get him in focus. Get him in focused. Let's see if I could recreate a notable hurricane pose. I forgot if it's. Let's see if it's. Because yeah, it's something like. It's like crouching down like that. So since I think it's closer to. Something like that. But yeah, overall, other than that, the figure is great. It's your standard elite articulation. You can't go wrong with that. And brief history on the Hurricane, of course. Started out as one of the WCW wrestlers whose contract got picked up by the WWF when they bought out WCW. First, he was just a generic cruiserweight guy. I think, as a matter of fact, in WCW he was known as Shane Helms, and when they moved him over here, they gave him his other name, Gregory Helms. And the rumor at the time was that they gave him the name of Gregory Helms because there was already another Shane in the WWF, and I guess they didn't want two Shanes. It's one of those Vince McMahonisms, and obviously the other Shane was, of course, Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's son. And those are fireworks. I do not know why fireworks are going off. It's already been a while after 4th of July, and yet we still have fireworks going off right now. Well, they're probably setting off fireworks for the hurricane. Welcome to South Central, folks. So, afterwards, if I remember correctly, there was like a, so pretty much, I don't want to give like a whole spiel on Austin, on the invasion angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin turning heel and representing WCW and this and that, and but pretty much I remember it was like a pep rally that they held. Stone Cold Steve Austin was holding a pet rally with all the WCW wrestlers, and they pointed out that Hurricane Helms, which funny enough, he had a Green Lantern tattoo on one of his biceps, and Austin pointed that out, and it's like, oh, what do you have that on? And Gregory Helms is like, oh, well, Green Lantern's my favorite hero, and then I guess it spun off into like, oh, well, and the Stone Cold, like, you could do some inspiration with that kid, and this was in storyline. This was actually in storyline, that Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of inspired him to create this superhero persona with the same color scheme as the Green Lantern, and that's how you got the Hurricane. So there you go. If you want to thank anyone for the Hurricane character, thanks Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? Thanks Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? Thanks Stone Cold Steve Austin. But yeah. And I dug through some figures, and I thought it would be pretty funny to have a side-by-side comparison between his actual inspiration. This is the DCUC Green Lantern and the Hurricane. You could see where a lot of the inspiration comes from. Color scheme and all, domino mask and all. As a matter of fact, let's see. So yeah, this Hurricane is actually wearing a mask. Originally, when he started out, it was face paint. So he would always paint his face to make it seem like he had a domino mask on. And this hair is obviously reminiscent of a few months into his run as a Hurricane already, because when he started out, he just had like a ponytail, black ponytail from obviously his WCW days. And obviously, if I want to say what specific moment in time this figure captures, it would definitely be that feud that he had, that mini feud he had with The Rock in 2003. He was already a good year into into working for WWF, a year and a half already, and I feel that was the one. I don't want to say defining moment, because he did have a great career afterwards, but that was the one moment that kind of established him as a mainstay and a memorable character in the WWE for a long time. That whole Scorpion King versus the Hurricane and Tiny Dingaling and all this other stuff against arguably the best version of The Rock, Hollywood Rock. You can't argue with that. And that's my favorite version of The Rock in any form or fashion capacity. And I do feel that mini feud with The Rock helped establish him. Still was seen kind of as a fun character, but was no longer viewed as a joke. And afterwards, I think he had a few title runs with like Kane, tag team title runs with Kane, and then another tag team title run with his protege Rosie, which best defined like the mid half of his career, in which he kind of took up this guy under his wing. Eventually, he ended up turning heel and beating up Rosie, and that's when you got Gregory Helms, who got drafted to SmackDown, who became Cruiserweight Champion on SmackDown, yada, 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 and pretty much was written off of the show for a while, came back on the ECW brand with the Gregory Helms kind of reporter character, so they were doing like a Clark Kent reporter, and then he would leave, he would flee the scene, and then in the other scene with the Hurricane would just pop up. So this is like pretty much Gregory Helms the reporter this way, and then the Hurricane would pop out from this way, which I thought was hilarious. Then he was released from his contract, and then other than like a few Royal Rumble appearances and this and that, that was pretty much it for the Hurricanes, like long term, like a full-time schedule. You know, you did see him pop up in other promotions. You do see him pop up in WWE every once in a while, but for the most part, that was it for his career. And yeah. Articulation wise is pretty good. Interchangeable hands are pretty good. Let's go on to a final verdict. So final verdict time. Overall, great figure, someone I really wanted. But he does come with a set of cons, notably the cape sticking to the tape. Why they decided to take that cape up, I'll never know. Minor gripe, minor nitpick. I did notice that his hardcore title reign is missing. But then again, I feel like they're trying to abolish the hardcore title. Even though he did win it, he actually won it at WrestleMania. And his sidekick, I almost forgot to mention his sidekick, Mighty Molly, took it away from him. Mighty Molly, that's a different term now in modern days. But other than that, yeah, would I recommend this figure? Only if you're collecting Ruthless Aggression era figures, or if you're really into the Hurricane. Because he doesn't really fit the classic superstar mold at all. And he does come with a set of cons. Other than that, yeah, is he a good figure? Yes, but he's not really one of my favorites. That's all I could say about that. And yeah, thank you again for watching this video. I got this figure, before I end it, I got this figure from the Wrestling Guy store, and I'll be sure to link it. Link his store's page at the bottom of each part of this video. And thank you again for this review. I really don't know who I'm going to review next, to be honest with you. We'll have to wait and see, really. In the meantime, let's pose him with alongside with other figures I had. DCUC Uncle Sam. Since it is close to 4th of July right now. So DCUC Uncle Sam. Red Sun Superman. Because if you got America, you got to put on America's Enemy. And let's pose this other figure as well. Hey, this guy looks familiar. Where do I know him from? Anywho, thanks again. I'll be sure to post another review very soon. Thanks again. Catch you guys later. Peace.